I think that reading the Bible becomes so much more rich when we understand a little bit more of the everyday life of the Gospels, the everyday world that this stuff was born into. You can't understand the time of Jesus. You can't understand the life of Jesus, the time of Jesus, because remember, God loves the particular. He loves regular human life. He loves the little details of your life, of your world, of your job, of your family, of the way that you like to load the dishwasher. All the dumb stuff. He loves that because he loves all of us, the real everyday life. I fell in love with the New Testament. I fell in love with the Bible. This professor, he demonstrated to me that there was a whole political and economic and social and cultural world behind the stories of the gospel. That there was real life happening here, which sounds so obvious. Like, I mean, that might sound to you like one of the dumbest things you've ever heard. Like, of course there is. But I never thought of it. These were just stories that I heard periodically on Sunday. I understand the imagery. I understood Jesus was on a cross, but I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what the cross was politically for the Roman Empire, who the cross was reserved for, how it was developed as a cruel form of torture and parading one's enemies. I didn't know any of that stuff. Or that there were people in political parties gathering around trying to manipulate the person of Jesus. I didn't know any of that stuff. And I fell in love with the fact that there was a whole world behind this. Because I really like history. And I really like not just history in the abstract, but like the nitty-gritty details of history. I love that stuff. Because it reminds me that there's a God that loves the nitty-gritty details of my life, of all the little things on what's going on for me. Here's an example. I teach seminarians, again, guys who are preparing to be priests or deacons. I tell my guys, can you imagine 1,000 years from now, someone wants to study and write about what it meant to be a Catholic seminarian in the United States of America, or Canada for that matter, in 2024. But that person who's writing this story had never heard of the sexual abuse crisis. They didn't know the American political situation. They've never heard of Donald Trump or Justin Trudeau. They didn't know anything about COVID. They didn't know anything about who Pope Francis was. They'd never even heard the name. Maybe he was a name on a list. But they didn't know any of that stuff. They didn't know what social media was. They've never heard of Twitter or TikTok or Instagram. They knew none of these things. I mean, come on. Do you really think you can understand what it means to be a seminarian preparing to be a priest in 2024 if you don't know any of that stuff? Like, you can know some things, but you can't ever really understand what it meant. Does that make sense? That's a good example for me. That's the one that's always kind of playing in the back of my mind as to why this stuff is important to unpack. Because, man, as a teacher of seminarians, if someone's going to write about our times, gosh, I sure hope they do the homework to figure out what our world is like right now. Because it's going to change the way you see things. It's going to change the way you understand the story.